DC has so many incredible characters that deserve more attention. We're gonna run through the top 7 we hope James Gunn and Peter Safran spotlight in their new DCU right now. Hey everybody, it's Hannah Solek, the head of video here at Cinema Blend, with Sean O'Connell, our managing editor, and we are back with our weekly DC video. Sean, how's it going?
It's going well. Thank you everybody for tuning in to the last one that we did, which got into some of the biggest news in DC this year, James Gunn and Henry Cavill, and so we're going to keep building on that momentum.
I picked the wrong week to be gone from work.
Absolutely right.
But
absolutely.
We're back, and so today we want to talk about, I guess I'll throw it over to you to kind of explain this, but just some characters that have maybe been neglected by DC in the mainstream, I guess, because there are TV shows and a lot of the animated stuff that touch on a lot of the characters that we're going to bring up, but I don't know that like my mom would know who these characters are, if that makes sense.
Right. And Hannah and I sort of debated behind the scenes about like, how do we position this? And salvage was kind of the word that we came up with, because we do feel that like DC has a pretty good roster of characters that that should be able to work, especially when, and I promise we're not going to keep making the comparison to Marvel, but when Marvel has the Eternals, and Shang-Chi and Miss Marvel on a TV show, like they're so far down their bench, and DC hasn't really utilized to the fullest extent some of these other amazing characters that they should be able to tap into. And so we just picked out 7 that we want to shine a brighter light on and hope that maybe in his new position, James Gunn can figure out what to do properly with these guys, knowing that they have like a Blue Beetle project coming, which is exciting. But, you know, at the same time, we're still facing a reality where they scrapped a Batgirl movie.
Yes.
So I don't know if we'll ever know.
Just to bring it back to the Marvel point real quick,
yeah,
because I think there's a really good point of like, we think about characters like Iron Man now as being like the pinnacle, you know, like everybody knows who Iron Man is. But like when Iron Man came out, no one knew who Iron Man was. That wasn't like the Fantastic Four, the most popular Marvel characters. And so I think DC, while yes, obviously like there are those 5 characters you talked about last week, like Wonder Woman, Superman, like yes, focus on them for sure. But also there are so many great DC characters. Like let's get some other ones up to that kind of same level. So
I would agree.
Good boy.
All right, let's start with Deathstroke, who was #1 on your list.
He was #1 on my list, mainly because there was a tease for him at the end of both Justice Leagues, the awful one and the true one.
It's personal.
And Joe Manganiello wants to play him. Like he would be the perfect person to continue that streak.
Yeah.
And they also, not only do they have this tease of how they could use Deathstroke in a really exciting way in maybe like a Justice League continuation, but then he was supposed to be the main antagonist in Ben Affleck's Batman movie, or one of the iterations of Batman's movie. So it feels like Deathstroke, of all the people that we're going to talk about, except for maybe the next one, got the closest to crossing the finish line, right? To finally being able to show up in some type of DC project.
Well, James Gunn had him on his short list too for his Suicide Squad movie, but then it just ended up not working. I don't know if he would have died or not in that big opening. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen it.
Well, and it also seems like in the 2 Suicide Squad movies, like Deadshot, Will Smith's character, and then Bloodsport, is that what Idris Elba's character's name is?
Yes, good job.
Are you having a laugh?
Those 3 together seem similar-ish, but like Deathstroke is different, so.
Also, I would not want to go up against Deathstroke, Deadshot, and Blood. That's really hard to say all
it's
3
hard,
of their names
right? I
in
know.
a row. When you said it, you made it sound easy. I was like, yeah, good job. Like, that's it.
They're not
Bloodsport,
interchangeable.
Deathstroke, and Deadshot. Okay, we got it. I would not want to go up against the 3 of them.
The 3 of them together. No,
Yes.
but fans were pointing out that if you're going to put Batman up against anyone, that Deathstroke would have been a character that could have gone toe-to-toe with him. That would have been a formidable DC character to put in there. And similar to, okay, so let's lean into the anti-hero bit of it all that Black Adam is trying to carve out. He's another character that you could build a complete movie around, introducing him, using him as a bit of a mercenary, maybe sending him against the Teen Titans or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
You know, as a way to get him into the universe, get him in universe and make him a canon figure. And then we figure out what to do with them from there.
Yes, and there's somebody on Reddit, this is courtesy of Reddit, pointed out that James Gunn liked a tweet from a fan. This was, I think, during like Peacemaker's runs. This was months ago, so I don't know what this means. But he liked a tweet where a fan was basically requesting that Joe Manganiello's Deathstroke be in whatever the like next DC show James Gunn was, because you know how like at that time it was like he's doing a mystery DC project.
Yeah.
The fan was basically asking to include Deathstroke in that, and James Gunn liked it, and James Gunn is
deal.
very exactly, yeah.
That's
Might
like
as
a
well be
contract
greenlit.
in Hollywood.
Behold the voice of God.
Let's move on. Next is Green Lantern, which, oh my gosh, like the fact that we have not had Green Lantern in mainstream DC stuff is wild. But
What are we doing?
I don't know.
There's so much potential with the Green Lantern Corps.
Yeah.
You could do heavy sci-fi if you wanted to do, and do non-human Green Lanterns for an eternity. You can obviously focus on Hal Jordan or Jon Stewart or God, there's so many different places you could go with it. And again, this feels like you heard about the HBO Max series that they were potentially floating out, and it was going to become a movie. And I know the Ryan Reynolds one is bad.
Green.
But we've overcome bad movies. Like, we're way past the Ryan Reynolds one. Like, there's DC fans now that love Green Lantern that probably don't even know the Ryan Reynolds one at this point. Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool. He's Deadpool.
When did-
No one
I'm gonna look up
associates him with that.
when did Green Lantern come out? Was that like 2007?
2009, I want to say. Anyway, the point is, it's such a rich mythology to be told in Green Lantern, and the way that effects work now, like, there's no excuse to not have the Green Lantern involved in some sort of pivotal DC project.
Come on, I want to see this stuff, you know?
When was Ryan Reynolds' movie? Did you just find it?
2011. Yes, 2011.
2011. Wow. Okay. Yeah. So we're wow. Okay. A long time. And again, it feels like that there are half-baked projects that they were developing.
Yeah.
And it feels like that's a character and a franchise and a series that they should put their weight behind.
Yes. Do you want Ryan Reynolds to come back, or do you care?
No. Oh God, no.
Oh, I don't think that's a good idea.
Ryan Reynolds got the perfect last laugh by, Deadpool shooting him through the head.
Fair enough.
In the mid-credit sequence. That's the final button on anything Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern.
I'll give it 4 out of 5 avocados.
Now he's getting Hugh Jackman to play Wolverine again.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't think
just
he's
so far
going
down
to.
that
I'm just saying if he wanted to, I think they would be like, all right, fine.
Oh,
But-
yeah. But I agree with most people who say do Jon Stewart instead. Like, because
Yes.
we haven't necessarily
Yeah.
seen that full. Although Aldous Hodge is doing a great job as the character.
I saw
in
some
animated
fan casting
form.
where people are like, why wasn't he like a live action Jon
Yeah.
Stewart? And I was
Yeah,
like,
no, I think
yeah.
he'd be terrific.
Can he play Hawkman and Jon Stewart?
No.
Curses! All right, next we got to talk about Poison Ivy, because again, the fifth character that James Gunn mentioned in that statement was Harley Quinn, and you cannot continue to focus on Harley Quinn without bringing in Poison Ivy. Their relationship is so essential in the comics, and especially with the success of the Harley Quinn show on HBO Max, which I'm going to reference a lot probably moving forward. Like, it's so popular and it's so well done, and James Gunn is a fan of that show to the point where he was even in it for the third season. That, like, I mean, I think this is almost like a done deal. Like, I don't think we're gonna get another Harley Quinn project where Poison Ivy isn't involved. Like, I would be shocked if that happened.
Do it!
And also, Lake Bell should play Poison Ivy because she does a
That
great
would
job.
be really cool if that happened.
She's the voice of Poison Ivy on Harley Quinn on HBO Max, and she's perfect.
But then at that point, you're arguing that Kaylee Cuoco should play Harley in a live action at that point.
Don't put me in that box.
I don't know if that's necessarily
That's
what
I can't.
people
No,
want.
I really like Margot Robbie in the role, but she's also said, did I say this already, that she has been trying to get Poison Ivy in the mix for like a while. But
Yes, we've talked about that.
Sorry. The voices.
also, just side note before we move on to the next character, I really want to see Poison Ivy in Matt Reeves' Batverse too, and it needs to be played by Kristen Stewart. So,
See, oh
my
God,
fantastic.
that would be
wouldn't that be great?
awesome.
I know.
That would be really great.
So Matt Reeves, get on that.
That would be real classy.
Poison Ivy is a character that needs to be redeemed after the Schumacher movies. And no offense to anyone who loves those movies, but those were extremely over the top.
That's what Harley Quinn does so well, is like, I don't know if you've seen it or if anybody hasn't watched it. She's just like this very dry, sarcastic, like logical person that's really, really funny against Harley's just like chaos and mania. And
Yeah.
so I would love to see a Poison Ivy that is not, I mean, I thought Uma Thurman did a great job, but it's just so over the top campy that it's
Right.
just like a different thing that I
That's
would
why I
like to
think,
see a
like,
different version of.
If they put her into the Reeves universe, that's a good way to sort of
Ground her.
ground her.
And I'd be interested to see like how they would do that, because it's very easy with her powers to like lean into the sort
Yeah.
of, you know, over the top stuff. But anyway, okay, we're spending too much time. All right,
Great take. Moving on.
Green Arrow.
Okay, so Green Arrow, DC fans are going to scream at me because, you know, the TV side has used him very, very well. And
I was gonna say, I would almost consider him mainstream-ish because of
yeah,
the CW.
yeah, for sure. Because Arrow's been around for as long as it has.
Yeah.
But I also think that DC fans keep a very distinct line between the CW universe
Mhm.
and what's happening in the films, which is why I think that you can accept everything that's happened on Arrow and still want to see a different take on Green Arrow in a feature film.
You always saw the best in me.
And maybe it's not Oliver, you know, maybe it's a different Green Arrow that they bring in somehow. And maybe it's paired with another character, like maybe it's some kind of team up movie where he's introduced as part of another film. But he's an interesting enough character that I would love to see him incorporated into the DC universe, because you don't hear a whisper at all about ways to bring him in,
Yeah.
and he's an important DC character.
Get your ass out here.
So I have Zatanna on my
Yes.
list because I think this was last year, maybe it was 2 years ago, but Emerald Fennell, who did Promising Young Woman, was tapped to write a script for it. And something that interests me about this is that she gave an interview, I want to say it was to Variety, where she was kind of talking about what interests her about working within DC and with this character specifically is how much the comics and sort of her story lean into the more like adult themes of DC. And something that James Gunn does so well, obviously, is kind of leaning into that and not being afraid to like go a little bit darker and a little bit more adult humor with some of the stuff. And so I'm just personally really intrigued by that duo doing something with Zatanna, because she's a great character. And I would just really like to see that, because also she, I mean, aside from the animated stuff, like we've never had a live action Zatanna, right? Like
No.
nothing
no, not in
older
any
that I'm
kind of
missing.
format
Okay,
that I can
yeah,
think
and
of.
that's a shame.
No. And you know what's funny too is that the one thing that James Gunn does that people can't necessarily argue against is character development. Like he takes
Oh yeah.
offbeat characters like Polka Dot Man
Yes.
and Peacemaker.
And like the way
and-
he visualizes their powers too. Like with Polka Dot Man,
Absolutely.
you'd be like, how are you gonna? And then it's like, oh, well, he did it.
I mean, I left the Suicide Squad and Ratcatcher 2 was like my favorite character.
yeah. And I would trust him and Emerald on how to like, because like the whole like thing where she's a magician and like that's just kind of like hokey and like whatever. Like I would trust the two of them to find a way to make that seem not, you know, like absurd.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think they need to bring Zatanna in. I'm putting that as a need.
I don't care how many men, women, and children I need to kill to get it.
What?
Moving on, Teen Titans.
Okay, I included the Titans for a couple different reasons. One, we have tried so hard to make the Justice League work in the DC universe, and I still would like to see the Justice League work in some way, shape, or form. But this might give them a chance, similar to the way the Black Adam at least introduced to the concept of the JSA. But I don't want to see the Teen Titans sandwiched into somebody else's movie. Like, just do a Teen Titans movie. And don't do, like, all of their origins. Just, they're there. They're the team. They exist, you know? Like, and that would give you an opportunity to introduce a character who, again, in the DC universe, there's a little bit due to Zack, you know, killing him off right off the bat. Like, Robin is an endlessly fascinating character. It's unlimited potential. And I think if you put him as the head of the Teen Titans movie and then take it from there. Now, okay, we've seen the
Also,
Teen Titans
Raven
in
is so
animation.
cool. I was gonna say, I grew up with the Teen Titans animated show, and like Raven
Yeah,
was
yeah.
like the coolest.
The coolest. And so, again, yes, there's a Titans television show that's, you know, currently, I think, improving. I watched it for the first 2 seasons. I kind of lost interest in it. But people who
Yeah.
have stuck with it have said that it's gotten better and better.
Yeah, I've heard the
So
same.
maybe DC is saying, well, that version exists, and so there's no need for them to come to the movie.
We'll see.
All right, the Bat Family, which I guess we should say, like, these last 2 categories aren't characters because there's multiple of them, but
They're teams.
we're
Sure, I
getting,
understand.
yeah, they get a pass. All right, Bat
You-
Family.
You have a strong feeling about this, you said. That
I
you
have a
don't-
strong feeling about it, but I had like we need Batgirl. Like what?
Yeah.
Justice for Leslie Grace. Like what? I don't understand how we or like Oracle. Like all these cool characters. I don't really necessarily feel that strongly about like Robin or Nightwing. Like they're fine, but like we need Batgirl. I don't understand.
We came really close.
We came real close.
Apparently, we came really close. I feel like we're gonna get more iterations of those characters in the Matt Reeves universe. Like, I can honestly see what is his name? Hold on, I'm blanking on it. Okay. I can honestly see.
Did you just forget
Robert
Robert Pattinson's name?
I forgot Robert Pattinson's name. Yeah, I was blanking.
The 12-year-old
completely.
Twilight fan in me is screaming right now.
Robert Pattinson. To the point where I could so clearly see him having a Robin that I legitimately asked Matt Reeves if the mayor's son, who kept popping up throughout the Batman, was being groomed to be the next Robin. And Reeves, in our Junket video, he's like, he wasn't, but that's a great idea, and I'm gonna steal that now, kind of thing. So, you know, we have Alfred and Oracle, like Barbara Gordon would be terrific in that universe. Yeah, I want to see more of the Bat family. I feel like they're underutilized. I feel like every time we're relaunching another Batman, like Affleck, we met much older, so it made sense that like his Robin had passed away. Nolan never wanted to get into any of that stuff, although there were all those rumors about Joseph Gordon-Levitt playing some version of Robin down the line.
I thought that was like implied. Okay, I'm not going to get into that.
I'm not sure if that's implied or if he was going to take up the mantle of Batman. All right,
whatever.
Well,
anyway,
that's stupid. That's as stupid as Alfred going to see Batman at the cafe, and he's like, "Here's to
leave
you,
Michael Caine out of this."
So yes, I would love to see the Bat family better utilized. I think it's a really good opportunity for James Gunn to reset that a little bit. God, there's so many. Like, I don't know what they're gonna do with Batman, because I mentioned in the video last week, because Batman obviously was one of the 5 James Gunn mentioned, but we're working in a situation where we have Robert Pattinson doing his thing over in the Matt Reeves universe. Ben Affleck is, you know, as far as we know, in Aquaman's movie and also in The Flash. They are still bringing Michael Keaton back. Like, I know he's in The Flash.
Yeah, I was thinking we should almost maybe do
too.
like a separate video about this, because it's like at a certain point, right? It's like, how many Batman is too many?
Right.
I often wonder.
All right, well, those are the 7 characters / teams that we are really hoping that James Gunn focuses on as he takes over DC. We posted a story on Cinema Blend earlier this week about him starting his first official day at DC.
We do have something to celebrate.
So we will keep tracking all of the DC movement here on Cinema Blend. So hit subscribe, turn on your notifications, and come on back every single time we post a new video.